other. Mainstream media. Government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
All over the world, illegitimate governments are taking off the gloves, and the public is rioting and defeating them. From Iceland to Greece. But it's too late. The bankers have already looted the countries dry. The Financial Times of London, as you know, reported 2 days ago, and now for a world government was the headline, admitting that it is a tyrannical world government for your own good. There's also an article out of the London Telegraph today by Mr. Pritchard, admitting that people are rioting because the New World Order is tyrannical. And we see the same tyranny in Canada. You have the Parliament. You have Mr. Harper, Stephen Harper, the Prime Minister, losing seats. He should leave. They move to kick him out. And so he goes to the Governor General, or the Queen, the true power in a commonwealth. Now, the people are the real power, but and if they knew things were really being run by the Crown, they would know how illegitimate it was and stop it. That's why the Crown's never wanted to use this power, though they've used it in Australia back in the 70s, was the last time we've seen this in a major commonwealth. Canadian Prime Minister wins suspension of Parliament. This is from last Friday, December 4th. Now they've done it again. And I wanted to reread this before we go to Connie Fogal. Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper won a rare suspension of Parliament last Thursday, managing to avoid being ousted by opposition parties angry over the minority Conservative government's economic plans and an attempt to cut off party financing. Governor General Michelle John, the representative of Queen Elizabeth, Canada's head of state, agreed to Harper's request to shut down Parliament until January 26th, Parliament after the October 14th election. Harper's request for the suspension was unprecedented. No Prime Minister had asked for Parliament to suspend to avoid a confidence vote in the House of Commons. Now, when we posted just the top couple paragraphs and linked to this last week, people went into Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, and they just said, Alex Jones is a liar, the Queen doesn't run anything, the Parliament runs everything, this is a lie. That's delusional thinking. Just like we posted the article, and now for a global government. People went into the comments and said, it's not real, that article doesn't exist. Direct link to the Financial Times of London, saying world government's real, saying it's tyrannical, and saying it's a good idea. I mean, this is mental illness, ladies and gentlemen, or these are disinfo operatives. Of course, Connie Fogal and the Canadian Action Party have caught police dressing up as anarchists and attacking other police. That made national news earlier this year. They've got out a new article, Canadian Prime Minister suspends Parliament again. And just to let you know who Connie Fogal is, she's a great lady. As a former leader of the Canadian Action Party, a lawyer and former teacher, Fogal lives in Vancouver, British Columbia, where her late husband, Harry Rankin, was a longtime progressive city councilor. She's an anti-globalization activist and was an opponent of the trilateral agreement on investment for the North American Free Trade Agreement. She has also been active with the Canadian Liberty Committee, and it goes on and on. But, Connie, good to have you on with us. Appreciate you joining us.
Well, thank you very much for including me. Your show is very popular, and I'm very pleased to be part of it today.
We're pleased to have you here. Why are Canadians and Americans in denial about this, and what's really happening?
Well, denial is the word. I was thinking as you were talking. People just, I guess maybe it's human nature. People don't want it to be so bad. They just don't want to accept that that's the way it is. And it's easier to deny than to face something, because facing takes a lot of courage. It also means dusting yourself. It also means taking on courage. It also means maybe having to take a tough stand and really having to fight somewhere. And
yeah,
that's very, very uncomfortable.
That you really live in a puppet dictatorship under an imperial governor, that the Queen really runs things, and that you're still under a Queen's hard to deal with.
Yeah, that's right. People don't want to face that. And the reality of exactly what's happened is pretty shocking. And it goes even worse because what's just happened now is that the Liberals have changed their leadership just instantly. There was going to be a leadership change come May, but they got rid of Dion, who was the person that was supportive of a cooperation and a coalition to get rid of the Harper minority government. Now they put Ignatieff in, who is He's a globalist. He's probably a Harperite as well, and they're now going to sit down, the two of them, and there probably won't be a coalition to defeat the Harper government. That is to move the minority opposition forces in power. It's very interesting when you have these minority governments, you know. They can be quite democratic, but what we see happening here is that the people that are in elected position, they've got to the point where they're so greedy, they're so arrogant, they just have such an abuse of the people's wish that they just go along and do what they can manage to do. And what they've done here in the Liberal Party, they put a leader in without going to their own membership.
Let's stop there and explain how this works. What happens is, once nations start going down into corruption, there's then a snatching and grabbing phase where they know everything's imploding, so they're just stealing everything that's not nailed down, including the kitchen sink. And so because it revealed that the Queen really runs things, that the Governor General really runs things, they have to go in now and take over the liberals that were trying to rightfully take control of the government. So they're having to go in now and take those guys over to then create the illusion that the power structure has been defeated.
Yeah, but of course what it is all complicity with the power structure, and it's really disgusting and disgraceful. Unfortunately, in Canada, the Canadians are so much more. Canadians are slow to really take action and to fight, you know, contrary to the people in the States. I mean, I have a lot of respect for the citizens of the United States. Maybe you'll complain about them, I know, but on the other hand, you've got stuff written right in your Constitution that's very strong, and you've got groups and organizations in the United States, and you're an example of the power in the United States, of the people where you really are doing some powerfully good stuff in terms of resistance. We don't have that kind of strength happening. The little tiny voice of the Canadian Action Party was the strongest that there has been, and so you know I'm really worried. I'm really worried about what's going to happen to us. The last article you talked about of the global, you know, one world order being in place. That's true. It's funny how you talk about these people writing and saying this isn't happening. What's truly frightening is that enough people don't understand the implications, and the really big thing that scares me. And do I want to jump into this or ask you about this? It's the whole depopulation thing that seems to be on the agenda as well.
No, that's it. I mean, they're openly saying, in the Financial Times of London and hundreds of other papers, yes, it's a world government. Yes, we are going to come after your liberties. Yes, we're anti-democratic. And then the public is so mind-controlled that they were previously told it didn't exist, so they say, no, no, no.
Yeah.
You do not have a link on your website to the Financial Times. You are a liar.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about willful delusion.
I know, but you know, at one level you can't blame human beings for wanting things to be nice. On the other thing, it's a really wonderful reality that there are people like you and like me who will speak out, and we are way out in front of the other people in terms of following what's going on and knowing and seeing what's really going on, and that scares people. I mean, I've had people tell me, I don't want to hear that, you're scaring me, go away, leave me alone.
Well, they should be scared of not doing anything and the bad guys winning. I don't think they know what a world government means.
No, they don't. But that doesn't. But the important thing is that you continue to talk, I continue to talk, and eventually I've had people come to me and say, like a year later or years later after something, they said, when you said such and such at that time, I didn't agree with you and I didn't vote for you, and I'm so embarrassed and so ashamed and I want to apologize now. So, I mean, they do learn, they do grow, and that's the importance and the value of the work that you're doing.
Yes, and we've now gotten to the point where they're just removing the velvet glove off the iron fist worldwide and saying, okay, it's tyranny, and we run things and you don't.
Yeah, but, you know, it's just... like you said in that video I've seen where you stand up and you say, you don't own the world, you don't own things, we're not going to let you, and that has to continue.
What have Canadians said, and then of course plug the website so Canadians can join you and fight back, and really you are one of the only mainline groups that's eloquently fighting. What did they say 6 months ago when it was all over Canadian papers that yes, U.S. troops will be used here, yes, we will police the Americans, yes, we're in a North American system, yes, Northcom is basically running Canada. I mean, that was in the major papers. Everything.
Yeah, but still denial. It's made in the major papers, but in small sections. And you've got to remember, probably it's the fact that most people don't read papers at all anymore. And it's just a major denial. And then even if it did happen, they didn't what does it matter? What's the problem? They don't see it. And I think most people still do not know what we're talking about. They don't. This business of the military of each country going into the other, it's really worrisome in terms of what might be shaping up right away and to happen in January.